Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is probably the first time that you guys have seen some gaming content in over a year on this channel. Now, with Pokemon Go that has been out for a while now, they have finally introduced the whole PvP aspect where you can finally actually battle other players online. There's a Great League, there's an Ultra League, which is going to be the footage that you guys are seeing in this episode, and there is a Master League, which I believe is actually supposed to drop today. It's all based upon the Pokemon's level and their strength in the different tiers and so forth, for those that don't actually play. And if you guys used to play Pokemon Go in the past, I do recommend downloading it. The game has updated, it's so much better. Long story short though, I'm not gonna kill too much in the intro here. Either way, I have some Ultra League footage that I recorded of a team in a setup that I was rocking for a while. It was one of my go-tos. The only difference between the setup that you guys are gonna see here is I have a Typhlosion. The other sub that I used to put in instead of Typhlosion was a Gyarados in the back. Either way, we have a Rayquaza League, English. We have a Rayquaza lead, we have a Giratina in the middle, and then we have a Typhlosion in the back. The reason why I like to go with Rayquaza, for those of you who do know about the PvP in Pokemon Go versus, those who don't, is I personally like how fast he can get to his charge moves. I have him rocking Ancient Power, I believe. Typhlosion has Overheat, and Giratina has Dragon Claw for the charge moves. And he can put on some serious, and when I mean he, I mean Rayquaza here, can put on some serious shield pressure when it comes to the opponents. That's why I have done him in the lead. It generally tends the opponents to push and break their shields right away, while Giratina and Typhlosion can cover the rest, but I will play the clip. Now, I'm gonna forewarn you, forewarning, some of this right here is just, it's more mediocre gameplay on this team. There's a couple different things that I ran into that really changed the outtake of most of the games, and I'll explain why as we go in. It's kind of a learning curve. I like to experiment with different teams and different layouts and things like that, and you guys will probably honestly see some more of the Pokemon Go PvP clips here on the channel. It's just something that I've been so into recently that I want to do more. So now, the first game I'm gonna play here, so we're gonna do the clip. So this first clip here that you guys are gonna see, and you see that I have a Rayquaza, Giratina, and Typhlosion lead here. The first one against Shin 84 here was something that was a little unexpected. It was a throwaway match. I ended up winning. You'll see why in a minute. But he started out with the Gabite lead here, and I thought that this was a very interesting start out for the Ultra League, something that you would usually see in the Great League. I didn't know why. And then, as you tell, I mean, Rayquaza just one-hit the Gabite. Next thing you know, we have a Magikarp, and then I think it was a shiny Zagoose or Zagoon, or I can't remember the name of the specific Pokemon, but either way, it was a throwaway round for the opponent, which, I mean, I'll take the win, don't get me wrong, I'll definitely take the win, but I don't think it was something to compare for a good team setup here. So we're facing Chris 1070. Now this one was an interesting one, and I'm looking at my notes here, and this is actually where I ran into my first problem. He is leading with a Togekiss. Now Charmers, which are, the fairy types, I think there's something else that I'm trying to think off the top of my head. They tear into Giratina and they tear into Rayquaza so much during these matchups. That's why I switched out to my Typhlosion here. I ended up shielding up on this Aerial Ace. Now the only reason that I kept my shield here was to try to hold my stance against Togekiss, trying to take down his Charmer. He ended up switching over to a Latios, which does not help. Good news is I have my charge move ready to go, threw it at him, he shielded up, so he's down to one shield here, but he is still going to rip into Typhlosion so hard here. I was able to get off one more overheat before I was completely taken down there, so hopefully he's going to use up his second shield if I remember correctly, which he didn't. So that kind of threw in a plan there. Like I said, usually why I lead with Rayquaza in this setup, and I'm deciding to let my Typhlosion go here, is he's usually good shield pressure. But in this specific setup, like I said, this is the learning curve, is he's leading with a Togekiss and he has a Latios, and he has another Pokemon in the back that we haven't even seen yet, and that completely just shreds our team right here. That's kind of the one flaw on this setup. I know a lot of people have been pushing on different setups and things like that. You're going to see a bunch of crap online of what people like to use. This was the main flaw that I've seen with the team is, Rayquaza can't hold up against the Charmers. Giratina's out now, and you're going to see exactly the shred that I'm talking about. The good news is he can save up to his charge moves and get to Dragon Claw like really, really, really fast. And you could basically just bullet spam him, and I'm launching one off here. And I think, actually, if I remember correctly, I am able to grind through the Togekiss on this one barely and save up some energy, but we are both out of shields, and I'm already more than halfway down on health when he shoots out his last Pokemon, and it ends up being a Flareon, and even trying to get some of the chip damage here on the Dragon Claws just wasn't enough to actually successfully take down the team. It ended up being a close match, but to be honest, it should have ended a lot sooner. Not on my end, but from his end, he just shredded my setup on this one, and it was not good at all. Now, I believe the next matchup after this is going to be an interesting lead here too as well, if I remember correctly, but we're going to kind of just let this play out here, and it was a close game. It was close. I'm still surprised, and that I even got his Flareon down to that health there. And Overheat though, I have some Blaziken clips coming up, or not in this specific episode, but for a later one, that Overheat shreds in this one. So here's the matchup against Yusuf 7. This was a very interesting battle as well. Now, his lead, from what I remember correctly, he's actually starting out with a Giratina. And this is the altered form. This is not the origin form here. And Rayquaza, which I found out during this matchup, even though Giratina is going to do some damage to Rayquaza here, he shreds. Like, do you see the amount of damage that I am able just to kind of chip away here? Now, for those of you guys who actually play Pokemon Go, you know that Giratina is an absolute wall. He is a absolute tank. Now, the counter to him, not for damage, but for damage absorption, is Steelix. Steelix just freaking takes damage from Giratina like nothing. So I'm gonna take a Dragon Claw, which wasn't probably the smartest idea of mine. I kind of forgot that Giratina was running Dragon Claw in this specific setup here, which is super effective against the Rayquaza. But good news is I was able to get off a couple ancient powers here, especially before he was able to take me out and really push that shield pressure. Like I said, that is the only main thing that I am trying to run here, and obviously he wanted to keep his Giratina out, and that's why he was able to shield up a second time. But even then, just that chip damage from Rayquaza was enough to take him out, and he's switching out to a Venusaur. You see Venusaur quite a lot. This is a very chunky, kind of tanky Pokemon that you're going to see a lot. So this is why I decided to switch over to Typhlosion. So basically right here, Rayquaza did his job, did everything that he needed to do. The only purpose I have him, like I said, as a lead is to literally just take out the shields. So the opponent decided to make a really good switch into a Mewtwo. This is going to start to actually take down a lot of my Typhlosion, but he's out of shields. And look at that Overheat. That Overheat just one-shot the Mewtwo, and we are back to the Venusaur setup. Perfect setup right here. And I don't even think I'm going to shield, if I remember correctly. I think I decide just to let my Typhlosion go, and I know that my Giratina is going to be able to take care of this matchup, no problem. Venusaur is running Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant, even without shielding, barely does anything to my Giratina. I think I use my last shield here, honestly, just as a safety pocket, just to make sure that I knew I was going to get the win. I mean, there's no doubt about it for how fast Giratina can shoot off these freaking Dragon Claws. It's insane, and everyone knows shinies do more damage here. No, I'm joking. I did like 10 raids to get this shiny Giratina, and it's one of my favorites, and I'm so glad that it has a place in the Ultra League. We ended up winning that match, which was GG, so good match. The next one here is 100 Jackpot 001 is our matchup. I'm trying to look at my notes here. I think actually, yes, so this one, going off of my notes too, just to kind of help, he's leading with the Venusaur. I think what I was trying to do here was gain some of my charge move off of Rayquaza, and then I don't think I shot any charge moves. I think, Oh, no. Actually, okay, this is where it came in. I was trying to remember correctly. I think I was trying to save some of my charge moves to switch to Typhlosion, but before I could even switch to Typhlosion, he switched into Glaceon, which, by the way, is going to shred Rayquaza and Giratina, but he didn't even shield. He did not shield that at all. Now, this is where we both kind of have the option to bring out different setups here. I decided to bring out Typhlosion. He brought out Swampert. This isn't ideal for me right now. Since I was the first one to throw out the Pokemon on the Switch, he was kind of able to see what I had and made adjustments to that. So I'm going to switch into Giratina at this point. Giratina is going to be able to absorb a lot of Swampert's movesets that he's gonna throw. I think he's running a Hydro Cannon, or Muddy Water actually, which is nothing. Look at that damage right there. That is absolutely nothing. I think he can do either like Hydro Cannon, Earthquake, or Muddy Water or something like that if I remember. So I'm not in any pressure right now to throw shields at this battle or anything like that. I'm literally gonna let Giratina just do his job. Like I said, the Glaceon would have been the perfect setup for him with my Giratina. That would have shredded 100%. I don't know why he didn't shield that Ancient Power one hit. And the other thing that I want to mention, and I know that Giratina has the ability to use Ancient Power as well, is that Rayquaza, and I think Giratina too, once you use Ancient Power, you can get an attack and a defense boost off of that if it lands like a certain percentage, and it gives you such the upper edge when it comes to these PvP battles here. I'm gonna let Giratina just do his thing, honestly. I could switch into a Typhlosion right now and use the type advantage against Venusaur, but for how fast he can shoot out these Dragon Claws, and the shield's already being down right now as I'm taking out the second one, it makes it a little bit more of a proper switch for me to throw in my Typhlosion. And I'm not gonna use the Overheat. It doesn't make sense. I've seen people do this before where the enemy opponent is at just a butt hair of health and they throw their charge moves. It doesn't make sense. I know they might be worried that the opponent might get the jump on them, but either way, it's just save it for the next one. Right there, as you saw, I just hit him with the Overheat. Even though it's not the type advantage, that move is so powerful and we were able to get the dub. So the next one here is going to be Tad 31-21. Another matchup here, and I think this one here for the fourth match, I think if I remember correctly, this is the fifth match, my apologies. This is where we have another issue. We have that Togekiss start. So instead of letting Rayquaza take all the damage in this one, I decided to switch over to Typhlosion and just start tearing this thing down. Charmers, I think Grunbull too. Grunbull is another Pokemon that has been popping up recently in the PvP here, and it is, that's the best way to describe it. I'm going to try to just do a bunch of chip damage, honestly. I think what I was going for here, instead of shooting off my Overheat, if I remember correctly on this match, I double shielded on my first Pokemon. Now, that's not usually a strategy that I like to do, using both of my shields right away, but what I think I was trying to do, since Rayquaza is my lead and his only purpose is to take down the shields, what I was really trying to do with my Typhlosion was save up enough energy and launch off 2 Overheats and really take down those shields. And we have a Mewtwo set up here against Typhlosion, which, as we saw in the last match, if he doesn't shield up here, the Overheat will literally about one-shot his Mewtwo. So he did a very smart play there, and I was really hoping I could get a second Overheat off, but there wasn't enough time to build up the fully charged move before he got me down. I could do a Giratina setup here, but I decided to send out Rayquaza. Once again, my main purpose with Rayquaza is to get as much damage as I can. I don't know why. Oh, actually, I ran out of shields. See, this is the match where it kind of starts to fall apart. I was going to say, I don't know why I didn't shield there. I forgot that I used up both the shields on the Typhlosion, like I said, which is, I don't usually use both shields on my first Pokemon that I send out. That's just kind of a bad setup for me. And look at that damage on the Psystrike. That is, oh my god. Yeah, see, we're both down to 1. He's 1 shield up though, and he's got a Rosilla, and even though I'm going to be able to shoot off a Dragon Claw here, he's most likely going to shield it just because he's got the shield. Why not? He literally has to hit me one time and the match was over. So that was just kind of the learning curve there. Like I said, overall, this was more or less some mediocre gameplay. We ended up winning 3 out of 5 battles. The first one was kind of a throwaway, so we didn't even really get a good pair up to see what the team could have fully done. But either way, like I said, this was the setup that I was running for a while. It's as long as you've done raids, like I got Rayquaza from a raid, Giratina from a raid, and Typhlosion, you can catch Cyndaquils everywhere and save up enough candies and do what you need to do there. And I think it's not that much of an expensive team if you're looking to save Stardust and things like that. And most of them, I don't even have second charge moves for. So there was my little setup, something that I used to run for a while. This was more of, like I said, mediocre gameplay. It can perform well. Now, the only other option I would say is maybe instead of a Typhlosion, switch it for something that can actually take out the Charmers a little bit better. You know, he's not bad, but he doesn't really hold his weight to a certain extent. He can, you know, maybe unlock a second charge move, but either way, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I'm gonna have some more Pokemon Go PvP clips kind of showcasing here. This is something that's been really fun to get into recently and something that I've been enjoying, and I got a bunch of clips to showcase of crappy gameplay, good gameplay, some good teams, some bad teams. Just, I want to experiment with a bunch of different things. So, and what's kind of funny too is content creators make Pokemon Go PvP content. It's like, you know, people start using that, like, oh my god, they said this was good, so I need to put it on my team. And I don't know, I think it's kind of fun to experiment and just to see what's out there and mess around. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you go down and let me know in the comments below, and you guys should definitely see more of this content coming out in the future along with some more gaming. So I know it's been a while since you've seen any of that on the channel. It's been a lot of vlogs and skits and other things like that recently, but we are slowly going to work our way back into what this channel was originally built on. So either way, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will catch all of you in the next episode. Until then.